us in this room right now enjoy music, whether it's listening to it or singing it or playing an instrument. But despite this universal common interest, many schools have to do without music education. So the past few weeks I've been researching a lot about this topic because I have a little sister who's been following in my footsteps and decided to join a bunch of music programs in high school. But due to school budget cuts, my students and parents are struggling to keep the program alive. So today I'm going to discuss how music programs, can improve a student's teamwork, time management, and increase test scores. So first, I'd like to talk about the teamwork. First, I simply just Googled. I looked up in Merriam-Webster dictionary what teamwork was, and it says that the work is work done by people who work together as a team to do something. And many music programs, such as the marching band, an orchestra, and choir, have to use some sort of teamwork. In an article called 12 Benefits of Music Education, written by Carolyn Phillips, she says, in order for an orchestra to sound good, all players must work together harmoniously towards a single goal, the performance, and must commit to learning music, attending rehearsals, and practicing. So now I'm going to show you a video. And right here, you're going to watch a video of a clip of my sister's drumline on how they use teamwork to bring together this small performance. Okay, and so aside from their teamwork, they also had to learn how to use time management. They've spent hours each day practicing after school, and students who are engaged in music programs learn a valuable lesson in time management and discipline. They have to set aside time to practice and rise to the challenge of learning with discipline to mastering playing their instrument or simply learning their music. In an article called 18 Benefits of Playing a Musical Instrument, written by Michael Matthews, he says that a good musician knows the quality of practice time is more valuable than quantity. In order for a musician to progress quicker, he or she will learn how to organize his or her practice time and plan different challenges to work on, which makes efficient use of their time. For personal experience, learning time management was a huge benefit thanks to music. Like the 45 students that you saw in this video, they had to balance the schoolwork and they also had to practice at the same time. Which brings me to how music programs can increase test scores. In order to be a part of a music program, you have to usually have a 2.0 grade point average in order to be eligible. And in the same article written by Carolyn Phillips, she also says studies show that students who study the arts are more successful on standardized testing and such as the SATs. They achieve higher grades, and I found this study online done by Peter Mitzka. He did a study to find out the strong evidence of the impact music performance in school. He analyzed the records of a total of 5,335 high school students, and what you see here is that he's charted it out to people for non-music students and their average test scores versus the music. And clearly, as expected, he found that the math, reading, science, and also social studies tests were significantly better for the music participants. So today I've talked about how music programs can improve a student's teamwork, time management, and also show how music programs increase test scores. As you can see here, music education has been a big part of my life and my sister's life, and I hope that you all understand that music is how important it is to keep music programs alive.
All right, Joe, what did you think?
I thought it was really good. I liked that she had experience because said that she also went through music programs and now her sister's going through music programs. So I feel like this is important to her. She's not just talking about a subject she randomly picked. So that did make it interesting. I feel like it was organized really well as far as like the flow of the speech. But there was a lot of pauses. That's the only negative thing I have to say. There was a lot of pauses, a lot of ums and stuff like that. But I just feel maybe with a little bit more practice of going over the speech, it could have been more fluent. But overall, the organization and the information was really good. And everything was really cited very well and everything. So I'd say good job.
Okay. Yeah, I think everybody would love to be fluent and be able to get from sentence to sentence smoothly without an occasional hesitation. I didn't see that there were a whole bunch that were problematic. There was one that jumped out at me a little bit, and that's at the end of the video clip. It just seemed like there was this awkward moment where you weren't quite ready to get back into the speech and you weren't quite sure how to get out of having shown the clip, and it did feel a little bit stilted at that moment. The rest of the time, I thought you did a pretty good job. Again, maybe a little bit more polish and practice would smooth things out, but I didn't think anything was problematic, just places to get better. I think you've got a good statement at the beginning to get our attention. The topic is clearly identified. The thesis could be a little bit sharper, but there's an excellent preview, and I like the transition that you made into that preview. It was also clear when you got to the body of the speech, the different categories that you were talking about, and you signposted those clearly during the presentation. I like the fact that you gave a lot of supporting material. You tried to have reference material on each of the points that you presented, and you did a good job on that. The visuals, I think you did a nice job indicating what the music programs consist of very quickly with the one slide that has the 3 or 4 different, the orchestra, the choir, and the marching band on it all at once. And so instead of having a separate one for each one, that worked okay because you're just trying to talk about the diversity of music programs, and it's not like there's additional information on each of those. So I thought that that worked pretty effectively. I also like the last information that you had. The statistical information is presented in a pretty simple way so that we can see that there is a difference. I tell you, looking at the bars, it doesn't look statistically, I mean, it looks like there's a difference, but I wouldn't know that if it was statistically significant. If there was additional research that backed it up, I think you might want to add another quote there, because you really are relying on that one guy's research for that particular section, and it might be sensible to have some other information that found similar results so that we could be confident that it's just not an accident of that particular researcher. I thought that, I'd agree with Joe. I think the stories that you talk about with your sister's involvement in the program make it a lot more interesting. I think the video clip works in part because we know it's somebody that that's involved in that, and we can see what's going on. I think one of the things that you might mention to supplement that, how many hours did they practice, for instance? And when you say the teamwork, well, how many people are on the team and how do they coordinate and how do they work together a little bit more? If you had a story from your sister, for instance, about having to overcome some problem during the practice, I think that might have helped as well. I think for the most part there's good variety in your voice. Occasionally I was a little concerned about eye contact issues, but you know what? Every time I looked up, you were trying. I mean, I know that you were looking at notes and you've got information, but it didn't seem like you were just looking at notes. You had to look at the notes a lot, but whenever you got a chance, you looked up and you tried to distribute your eye contact, and that's a good thing to do. That I think that enhances your credibility too. All right, thank you.